All right. Number 8. Which one of the following most logically completes the argument? Well, this is, again, one of them sort of inference, just follow along, inference with the direction, let's say. Proponents of the electric car maintain that when the technical problems associated with its battery design are solved, such cars will be widely used, and because they are emission-free, will result in an abatement of the environmental degradation caused by auto emissions. Okay, the words that pop out to me there are proponents maintain, because that sounds like kind of a setup. That, okay, when these problems are solved, et cetera, but unless we dam more rivers, the electricity to charge these batteries will come from nuclear or coal-fired power plants. Okay, right, we gotta move the cars around somehow. Each of these 3 power sources produces considerable environmental damage, thus the electric car. Well, what is the conclusion of that? One tricky part about this is that I, like most people, am not exactly sure is the meaning of abatement. I know that it means certainly a lessening. Does it mean to stop completely? I don't think so. I think it just means a lessening. But I could see during the test really not being sure about that. So I'm going to leave that up in the air. But basically, I don't really have to even look at the rest of this. It's just, okay, proponents maintain that when blah happens, it will result in an abatement of this degradation. But unless we do this, then this happens or this happens. And note that damming rivers is one of the 3 power sources. I've gone with the black highlighter this time. I'll settle on something eventually. Thus the electric car is not going to totally abate as much as we think. I don't know where you're going with this. Let's see. But again, the most important thing is to say that in an inference question, you want to hug the turf. You want to definitely stay low to the ground and not stick your neck out. Like A. Will have worse environmental consequences. Well, that will seems rather strong, but then its proponents may believe. Anything that seems to have it sort of reversed, I would say sort of it may have worse consequences than opponents do believe, given that the proponents maintain this stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, that sounds at least appropriately squishy. It's not saying it'll be worse than it is now. It's just saying that, it won't be as good as they think. So sure, I'll keep that. B will probably remain less popular. Well, popular, we don't care about popular. That's too much thinking. Requires that purely technical problems be solved before it can succeed. Well, there are technical problems with it. But that is certainly not where this argument is leading. That would not complete it, because that would not complete it, because really of the word thus is linking it to the previous statements, and this is a fact that we've already sort of just established, that the proponents, in fact, established. Okay, D will increase the total level of emissions rather than reduce it. Well, that seems too strong, right? That's clearly kind of the over-the-top answer. But then you have E. E is the other answer that, is very tempting, is less over the top certainly than D, will not produce a net reduction in environmental degradation. This would certainly be the other one to keep between E and A. The problem with it is simply that we don't know which is worse. We know that these other sources produce considerable damage. Considerable is a very squishy word. So we need some sort of a squish in there, and that's really what would make me pick A over E in the amount of time I have, is just that may gives me some wiggle room that I need in this argument, because the argument never quite said that the electric car is going to sort of backfire, no pun intended, in that it will cause worse damage than it's solving. And that is really what E is saying, or at least that you break exactly even. So that is what makes A over E, but if you got suckered by that, I can understand why.